055-1111-997. I am Emefa Apawu. I'm doing this with Evan Spencer. And this evening, the three-member committee set up to investigate the disturbances at Ejura in the Ashanti region, in which soldiers opened fire at protesters, began its work today, with two witnesses appearing before it. Well, Joy News is Erastus Asaridonko, who had to take cover as the soldiers fired gunshots during that protest, appeared before the committee. We'll hear from him shortly. The other person was the Ashanti Regional Minister, Simon Mrensah, who doubles as head of the region's Security Council. Now, he admitted ordering the deployment of the soldiers to quell the demonstrations, but added he's yet to ascertain the identities of the officers who fired the shots.
They were attacking the police and even the water cannon vehicle that the police was using to spray water on the crowd to disperse them. The angry youth were chasing the vehicle, and the driver did very well, reversed because they were going facing the vehicle. If the driver had moved forward, definitely the casualties would have been more than what we witnessed. Fortunately, the driver could reverse up to a point where he had a bypass to use, avoiding running into the crowd. At that point, as I was informed, then the military moved forward for the police to go behind, because that method to disperse the crowd failed. It was during that period I was told that the incident of whether shooting or whatever took place. But as to who gave the shots, I have not been told yet. Or to say it has not been established yet. I was also informed that one Abee, A-B-E-E, Abee Wakaz, W-A-K-E-Z, went to Accra to organize a press conference that the disease, that is Kaka, was a member of the sixth the country campaigners. It was also alleged that Kaka was a member of the National Democratic Congress in Nigeria. He returned on the night of 28 June 2021 and reached Nigeria on 29th June 2021.
Honorable, please, who are you talking about? Who returned?
Abee Wakaz from Accra back to Nigeria and went to the cemetery with the youth, and after the burial of the body of the late Kaka, requested the youth to march to town and start their action.
Well, 2 persons died, whilst at least 4 sustained serious injuries as the military clashed with the youth of Ejura during that protest over the death of a social media activist, Mohamed Kaka. But Mr. Mrensah says the security agencies were pelted with stones and other missiles, forcing them to respond to the protesters.
I received another intelligence that the people have decided and the police station, houses in which some 2 accused persons had been arrested by the police, and also caused damage to other properties in Nigeria.
Honorable, once again, can I find out, you talked about some accused persons, or let's say suspects, have been arrested by the police.
2 people.
What were they suspected to have done? Was it the killing of the man or causing rampage?
It was alleged that they might have clubbed Kaka, for which it resulted to his death. So it was in relation to Kaka's clubbing and subsequent death.
You may continue, Honorable.
So when I heard the intelligence on 29 June 2021, I requested Lieutenant Colonel Pepra to again send some personnel to go and support the police. I took this decision, I took this decision in line with the Security and Intelligence Agencies Act 1030, and specifically Section 5 that establishes Regional Security Council. Then Section 6 that gives the membership of the Regional Security Council and also makes the regional minister chairman of the Regional Security Council, which includes maintenance of peace and security in the region. The commanding officer, as I requested, dispatched some personnel to Ejura to support the police.
Well, as you know, we deployed a team of reporters there to cover this. Mrensah Donko led that team, and we brought you those exclusive videos of the protests as it ensued and generated into firing of shots. So Erastus was invited. It was the second to appear before the committee today and recounted firsthand what led to the shootings in Nigeria.
My Lord, we started filming from when we got there. During the demonstration, when the youth were coming from the cemetery, we learned.
That'll be the 29th.
On the 29th, my Lord. We started filming from there right until when the military came in, right through when we were running up there and the shooting.
My Lord, the set footage, because we didn't want to incur any problems, it's already been handed over. So if yes,
we are going to play it, and if we need any clarification, we will ask you to clarify.
Yes, my Lord.
The committee members will like to ask you some questions for clarification and other answers.
Yes, my Lord.
There's a few questions and a few clarifications. You did the filming yourself, not yourself. I mean, your team did the filming. It's not a film from somebody else, right?
My Lord, it's not very clear.
I was asking whether this film is an authentic film from you and your team, and that no other ones have been added or subtracted.
No, my Lord. No other ones have been added. This is from our...
So it is not doctored.
No, my Lord.
It's not edited.
No, my Lord.
When we finish the film, we may ask further questions.
Yes, my Lord.
My question is just to ask if this is the first time that you've covered a riot in your career.
No, my Lord.
This is not the first time. Did you find anything different about this particular one when you first got to the scene?
Yes, my Lord. My Lord, the difference covering the riot at Tafu, and there was a clash between Muslim youth and the indigents of Tafu. What is different is that the military at that time were more tolerant. In fact, they used other tear gas and other things to disperse them. They fired warning shots, but nobody was shot. But with this one, you could see the military men aiming directly at the crowd and shooting. At a point in time, you could see them kneeling and taking aim directly at the crowd and firing. That is the difference, my lord.
I see. Now, the water cannons that you mentioned, were they used at any time at all?
My lord, the only time I saw it spewing water was after the warning shot. It was very momentary. It was just a few seconds. It poured water onto the streets. It did not even reach the demonstrators.
Well, Erastus was subjected to further probe by the committee, and he was forced to defend the professionalism of his report during the Ejura disturbances.
Is it because you were showing it live and they decided to put that hashtag there?
My lord, I was a reporter on the field at the time, and the slugs and other things put on the videos will not be visible to me whilst I was reporting. And the tags we give to stories goes through a series of editorial scrutiny, which I'm not aware of at that particular time when I was reporting. So I wouldn't be able to speak to why that tagline. So whatever I say here will be my own view of what might have happened as the reason that might have gotten that tagline there. But that was the general tagline given to Kaka and what he was doing at the time.
Will you consider that tagline as appropriate?
But my lord, come again.
Will you consider that tagline as appropriate in relation to what you were doing in Ejura?
My lord, I wouldn't be able to tell at this point.
Erastus, I think that ethical journalism requires two things. First, that you verify, you cross-check your sources and your information, and that is then considered also fair, what you put out. Do you think that on this occasion you aligned to these two tenets of journalism?
My lord, I appreciate your concern a lot, but to criticize my own something that I do not have too much control over at the time I was reporting will be a bit unfair.
That's my colleague Erastus Asari-Donko, who appeared before the committee earlier. This will be interrogated further tonight on PM Express with Evans Mrensah, and will be live on all our social media platforms as well. But let's bring in security analyst Adam Bona at this point. We're grateful for your time here on Newsnight. So we'll start with the evidence provided by the Ashanti Regional Minister, Simon Osei Mensah, who doubles as the chair of the Regional Security Council. He admits deploying the military personnel that we saw that day at Ejura, but stops short of saying who they are. He's unable to give us their identities. This was not proved further, but I would want to find out how that can happen, that a man who deploys men onto the ground is unable to give us who they are or establish their identities.
Well, thank you very much, Emefa. Well, I must be honest. Three things here. I would have to rate the performance of the committee and whatever they did today on a scale of 1 to 10. I'll give them 2 out of 10. And I would explain, I'm sure, as we move further. Then the second thing...
Maybe we can finish with your rating and why you're giving them 2 out of 10.
I'm giving them 2 because they obviously had someone who sanctioned extrajudicial killings, and they let him off the hook. First of all, the Ashanti Regional Minister by now should have been fired or resigned. We all know that the military is not in charge of internal security. The Ashanti Regional Minister doesn't seem to understand his role as the chairman of the Regional Security Council. First of all, or secondly, you realize that he took a unilateral decision to send in the military. And you and I know, and your listeners know, that if for nothing at all, the Ashanti Regional Police Commander, who superintends over internal security in the region, was bypassed, he might have spoken directly according to what he said. He picked up information, and this was not actually channeled through their own protocols. On his own mobile phone, And I guess it is his private mobile phone. The checks can be done from whichever network is on to actually even verify, to know whether it is true, who he spoke to. He refused to give more details about his own actions that has culminated into 2 other people dying after Kaka dying, unfortunately. Then the third issue had to do with the line of questioning of the multimedia journalist, Erastus Donko, right? The multimedia journalist.
True, correct.
Yeah. Asking him questions as if the media is a potential instigator when it comes to chaos. Yes, he did answer. He said yes. But the truth is that they actually had a potential, someone who potentially had commissioned, a dastardly act, and they let him off. And so mine is that it is so bad, and I am hoping and praying that they too, my colleague, Professor Vladimir Chidansu and his people would up their game, because this is a serious issue. And so to have someone come before them who didn't understand his work, and I believe the reason why they put all of these people together was to ensure that they do an independent work. But the questions they asked him, and he said, well, I will see if I can bring him. And so, Emefa, I feel sad, when I heard him say that, and they couldn't probe further, as if to say, you are the boss. We can't probe you any further. So I would say that, Emefa, I will give them 2, and I would hope that the president, if he's listening, this man is not fit. He doesn't have that emotional intelligence to head, a big city or a big region like Ashanti region. And I am praying and hoping that if the president doesn't fire him before the committee's report is ready, they make recommendations to get him removed, because then for him not to know his work and know that for all internal security arrangements, the police has to be at the forefront. The military plays a back role. So if you realize the videos that your colleague captured at the scene, the military, when they came, they bypassed the police and took aim in front and started shooting. Because the regional minister did allude to the fact that I commandeered them because I picked intel that we are going to burn police stations. And who said that burning police stations is more important, it's more important than lives? It is protection of lives and properties, not properties before lives. And so he didn't seem to. The regional minister, unfortunately, doesn't seem to understand his work. The committee could have interrogated him more, but they didn't. I am saddened. I'm sad that they let him off, and rather the media person who actually brought some of these things to us. If not for these people, the media people, probably we wouldn't have had all these footages, because the police don't have body cameras. There were no CCTV cameras. So how were we going to get it? And they were concentrating on a certain hashtag. Hashtag didn't kill these 2 people. But at this rate, the regional minister who ordered that they should be killed.
At this rate, Mr. Bona, how hopeful are you that at the end of the day, when this committee finally finishes its work, justice actually will be served? Because from what we've seen today, are you hopeful that we'll definitely get to the bottom of this Ijura protest and leading to the death of these 2 and the injury of the others?
Well, it is too early days yet to say. I'm very optimistic that as we continue, and I'm hoping that all of you, the media, Ghanaians, will pay attention to what is going on. It's been broadcasted live, so let's all pay attention. I am hopeful that at the end of the day, those who committed these killings, extrajudicial killings, would be punished according to law. And so I'm hopeful that, I won't throw my hands in despair. I'm very hopeful that we'll get something, but I think the committee, I'm sure they are listening. They should up their game and ensure that when those who committed this dastardly act come before them, they should pin them, not those people who really helped us to get information about what took place on the day.
Ms. Adambona, we're grateful for your time. That's security analyst Adambona taking a look at the work done by the ministerial committee set up to look into the Ejira violence and protest that led to the death of 2 persons and the injury of others. Well, my colleague Mrensah Donko was appeared before the committee today. Like I said, tonight we are taking a look at it on PM Express with Evans Mrensah.
You want to join us for that? Later we'll bring your business, and of course there's a big game tonight. Italy coming up against Spain. It's going to be live here on Joy 99.7 FM.
55, 78, 58, 70. Hey, Charlie. My network is really killing me. I have to pay my uncle's workers via mobile money, but the charges alone, it's about 380 cedis. Charges alone just to send money? That's $10 of cement already, my guy. Listen, bro, you can save money on charges if you move to Vodafone Cash now. Vodafone Cash? But my network is... Hey, sending money on that your network, you pay. Sending money on your network to other networks, you pay. But guess what? Sending money on Vodafone Cash is free. Sending money on Vodafone Cash to all other networks is also absolutely free. No charges at all on Vodafone Cash. So tell me, what are you still doing on that your network? Massa, look sharp, then move to Vodafone Cash. Hey, make a change the SIM right now. Yeah, sending money on Vodafone Cash to all other networks is now absolutely free. Send unlimited amounts of money as many times as you like for free. Just dial *110# now to send money.
Let me explain in here. I'm a mistake where I use cement for all your projects. That's why Gassem, with 50 years experience, wants to develop various greater, what's your various jobs. What was super rapid 32.5 hours. Oh no, you're suitable for your dream house. At your screening or Daduchi, Nazi or plastering, oh man, perfect finish. Gassem, what was super strong 42.5 hours. Or your best suited for slabs, pavement blocks, Nasezicho blocks, Nankasa, Archie pump. For the biggest construction works like roads, bridges, on your high-rise buildings, contractor and use Gassem Extra 42.5N. Missing the bidder, choose Gassem always.
In these uncertain times, stay safe and follow all the COVID-19 safety protocols.
Gassem, the nation builder.
Introducing new Super Yogo, a new fortified frozen yogurt from Fan Milk. Super Yogo contains vitamins and minerals good for your body and well-being, like vitamin B2 and B6, important for overall health and brain development, as well as assisting the body with energy production to keep you going all day long. And calcium for healthy bones and teeth, so you can go that extra mile with a smile. Enjoy natural goodness and nutrition with new Super Yogo, available either plain or an exciting lemon flavor. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Joy 99.7 FM.
You're still live here on Newsnight. It's on Joy 99.7 FM. Now, the Ghana Union of Traders Association is demanding the release of the forensic audit conducted into market fires. Government earlier this year commissioned a report following a series of market fires. Whilst the reports are yet to be released, the president of GUTA believes the report will establish the causes and provide recommendations that will prevent the recurrence. And this is on the back of the latest fire at Makala that ravaged a huge part of that market, leaving many traders stranded with wares destroyed.
From the forensic auditings that we did in the KJTR market to Kanesi market and Kantamanto.
You want what exactly?
We want the reports that have been gathered so that we can evaluate. A committee should be set so that we can prefer solutions to this permanently. Because this shouldn't reoccur, and it's getting so worrying, and we keep on consuming the little capital that we have. We cannot afford these things.
Tell me what you have learned of the extent of damage. I'm sure a lot of your members own shops here. How much are we talking about in terms of worth of goods that's been lost?
You're talking about millions of cedis. Look at the goods that they've spread. You know, some of them might seem that they have been salvaged, but because it has come into contact with water, it's damaged. But in your eye, you think that.
Well, earlier today, some of the traders were giving access to salvage what they could from the building, but the fire reignited from the smoldering rubble, ravaging what was left in the building. Listen to some of the traders who looked on helplessly as their livelihood raced out.
Look at Facebook, I can show.
Look, back at your man, and I'm going to you for. I want to go low. I want to go on here, boy, me demo.
Look, can it be why? Want to be a that Tadia Moy, Papa? So you want to know, look at my favor. Look at my favor. Look at the be the favor. You walk about touching it. Was she come one loss? She walk 1 million.
I should not pay Papa the whole 15 million. Can it be a miracle? You got 20 million. You're bagging me now. If I can make back by Shana.
Alone, and be a
nation. I'm a Jew of any nation.
You just had me speak to these 3 ladies. They all have goods in the building. They tell me that they sell baby clothing and so on and so forth. They mentioned that worth millions of Ghana cedis have been bent down. They also talk about shoplifting. They're saying that some people have entered the place and have carried away their belongings, and that's giving an indication of the reason the fire service had earlier declined entry into the burning building. They say that this is what they use to take care of their families, and so livelihoods now burning away 24 hours after the ignition of that particular flame.
Na eye kakra na wiya no ma ye say ejana ba fom no. Na se be 4 o'clock na se anka mo ma ye kwan kakra na yetimi ye niam ani bi. Ni nyina hye ene ni ho se bibia hye. Wan fa bibia wo. Te du do de no wakapa no wakan ye sramo. Umbo mo de ani stores na wo ni nya mo mo de na mo mua won. Na bebre yi wa mo no manche ni nyina hye.
Trades Minister Alan Chemanting also visited the scene of the incident, where he announced that the Ghana Enterprises Agency has been instructed to develop a relief package for victims.
Our small businesses are just about recovering from the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. So it's very unfortunate that this should happen at this time. But be that as it may, we thank God that through the heroic efforts of the Ghana Fire Service, that for now they've been able to contain the fire. If this had spread to other buildings, I'm sure that the devastation would have been more serious. But I'm here also to sympathize with the victims and to assure them that government is committed and fully behind them. And we are going to take all the necessary steps to ensure that we support them to get them back into their trade. And so I've instructed the Ghana Enterprises Agency to very quickly develop a package of support for the victims of this fire incident.
And that is the Trades Minister Alan Chemanting. And George Affe, and I know the businesses have taken a keen interest in this development because it affects a lot of businesses.
And even yesterday came about majority of those traders they have not insured their wares. And the Guta president was proposing that can we find a way where an insurance cost is priced into the levies that they pay to the AMA, so it will be more of a compulsory group insurance for these traders, so that when these things happen, it's not about whether you want to insure your wares or not, but AMA then would be able to use part of that levies to pay to these insurance firms, and then they can come in and then pay you back. And that is a real problem for he thinks that something has to be done about it.
Georgia, what else do you have in the headlines tonight?
Well, Evans, coming up, Bank of Ghana increases dollar support for the market to deal with the sudden pressure on the Ghana cedi, as it promises to use all tools available to stabilize the local currency. And economist Professor Peter Kote fears of possible downgrade by Fitch Ratings after revising Ghana's outlook from stable to negative. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all your office essentials, and Alliance Life. Let's now settle for the details. And the Bank of Ghana has upped its dollar support for the market to help deal with the sudden pressure on the Ghana cedi. Joy Business is learning that the central bank over the last 2 days has increased its dollar intervention to meet the request coming from businesses and the banks. The move is aimed at slowing the current depreciation that has been fueled by corporate demand because of dividend payment to shareholders. According to the Bank of Ghana, it will use all tools available at its disposal to guard against the undue volatility of the Ghana cedi. Meanwhile, head of financial markets at the Bank of Ghana, Stephen Opata, has told Joy Business that there's no cause for alarm with respect to the current challenges facing the Ghana cedi.
Even though we've had opportunities even to maybe reduce policy rate, we kept it a little bit tight because of the uncertainties surrounding COVID. And as you see from last year, we had quite significant foreign exchange resources. As a matter of fact, foreign exchange reserves we have now, 11 billion, is the largest we've had on record. So that shows you that we are building significant foreign exchange assets to support the interbank and the domestic economy. But other reform measures that we've taken that I know you are aware of is the foreign exchange auctions, which is now beginning to root itself into the psyche of people who demand FS in the economy. So that people, instead of coming on the spot market and trying to get foreign exchange when they don't need it, now they are anchoring their demand to the forward auctions according to the tenor for which they will need FX. This is beginning to work very well. But also very important is that we're beginning to see a return of non-resident investors into the bond market and local currency bond market. The fact that Ghana is still able to issue Euro bonds has also helped. And some of the liquidity facilities we got during the pandemic has also helped.
Stephen Opata is head of financial markets at the Bank of Ghana. Economist Professor Peter Kote fears of a possible downgrade of our credit ratings by Fitch at the country's next review. The ratings agency recently revised our outlook from stable to negative due to concerns about a rising debt stock. The move is more of a warning that Ghana could struggle to pay its debt on time. Professor Kote says the development calls for some tough measures from government to deal with the situation.
Very likely, or looking at our fiscal situation, it's very likely, or a downgrade from Fitch is anticipated. Nevertheless, we are not in normal times, and one would expect that we'll work our way back and get into the routine. We'll get into the situation where our fiscal situation will be around the 5% deficit GDP ratio in the medium term. I would expect government to strengthen its revenue generation effort, local revenue generation effort, by raking in more revenue, not just tax revenue, but also non-tax revenue, our property rates, dividends from state-owned enterprises, and also reducing waste, ensuring that we get value for money in our spending. By so doing, we'll save some resources and trim our fiscal expenditure in line with what we expect to achieve in the medium term.
Professor Peter Kote is an economist. Let's still stay on fiscal issues because government ended the first quarter of this year spending more than what they mobilized in revenue. Data from the Bank of Ghana puts deficit on cash basis at 11.4 billion Ghana cedis. However, compared to what we posted for last year, the amount was lower than what we recorded in 2020. On the revenue side, total revenue receipts was 12.8 billion Ghana cedis. It was also lower than the 16 billion Ghana cedis mobilized in the same period for last year. The fiscal results indeed confirmed how COVID-19 had impacted badly on several sectors of the economy. Now, pensions regulator MPRA has given the firm assurance that State Pension Trust SNIT is in a strong position to pay all the necessary benefits to contributors. The assurance is coming at a time when concerns have been raised about the pension scheme and also the sustenance going forward. But Chief Executive of the MPRA, Hifuda Takofi, says there is no cause for alarm.
I mean, if you look at our 5-year development plan, for example, that we have set up from next year, one of the thematic areas is to ensure the sustenance of the basic national social security. So as a regulator, you cannot go to sleep. You have to keep your eye on ensuring that the schemes that you regulate are strengthening and are sustainable. And SNIT is the only social security scheme that we have in our country. And therefore, as a regulator, I always refer to them as my first child. So it is one of the areas that we are looking at for the next 5 years. Certainly, I mean, there are areas that, for example, as far as our regulation is concerned, we have to make sure that SNIT does. For example, every year there should be indexation so that people's pensions are bumped up to make sure that they are in line with wage inflation. We have to make sure that they have an investment guideline. We have to make sure that there is actuarial valuation every 3 years. We have to make sure that we go for inspection to make sure that benefits are paid and all those things. So those are the areas that the law mandates us, and those are the areas that we have to look at to make sure that the scheme is sustainable over a period of time.
Chief Executive of the National Pensions Regulatory Authority, Hayford Atakofi. And that's all for business. On the stock market, Unilever was down by 33 pesos to close at 3 Ghana cedis. That's all for business. Back to you, Emefa.
Thank you very much, George. Well, we're hoping, building up to that game between Italy and Spain coming up in a few minutes here on Joy 99.7 FM, also on Joy Prime and at Doom TV. But let me tell you about the story. In the Western region, a 14-year-old boy is currently battling for his life after his brother accidentally turned on a switch of a chainsaw machine when they were playing, and in the process has chopped off both feet. My colleague Natalia Kwanzaa has more in this report.
Eyewitnesses say the boy was seen sitting at the close to the cutting edge of the machine as his older brother unknowingly sparked the sharp-bladed device that ripped off both foot instantly. Immediately, the 11-year started crying for help from residents close by. Upon hearing the cries of the boy, the owner of the machine, who was within the vicinity, rushed to meet the 14-year with both foot ripped off.
That is the machine I use for my work. I was working on some panels for a client's doors. I didn't even notice when the children came to play in the yard before I realized his feet had been cut off.
He was immediately rushed to the St. Gregoire Catholic Hospital, where he received treatment, as their hope of rejoining the feet is impossible, according to doctors.
The feet are in our custody. We will bury them later. It is terrible news that his legs are off.
The family is calling for financial support to undergo surgery. Uncle of the Class 4 people of Asenkra Bremen Catholic School, Asunaba Asen, described the incident as unfortunate and very disheartening, considering the financial status of the family.
Even though he's alive, doctors say his leg cannot be rejoined. However, he has been referred to the St. Gregoire Hospital, but we cannot foot the bill. We need help.
For Joy News, in Natalia Kwanzaa, Western Region.
Real tragedy there. You want to get the further details of this and more on myjournal.com. You can read Ashanti Regional Minister justifies deployment of military personnel in Nigeria. It's on the page. NDC hit streets with March for Justice. Also, a Fayose driver's murder. Suspect was influenced by money ritual. Police have been detailing that. We also have family sues 37 military hospital over death of 48-year-old man, demands 2 million cedis. But also this story I found pretty interesting. Fire breaks out at late TB Joshua's memorial. Read what reasons the church has been giving for that. Up next is that game between Italy and
Spain.
Okay, you know your football. And the lads are up with that. My name is Mrensah.
I am Emefa.
Joy, 99.7 FM.
Business no a bit to say. So the projections from the first quarter show a higher total gross profit for the fiscal year. A bit me a kasa saying,
Nana, who's not land you? He did a port right.
A bit me a say.
Here are your items. Thank you for coming.
A bit me a kasa saying,
Yes, 2 for 10